I knew I was supposed to share the gospel. And I even had, I had guilt about it. Like, I just felt like, oh, I wish I could do this better. But practically speaking, like, I didn't know what to do. But I remember sitting across from somebody and I like had an intention to share the gospel with them. Literally, he gave me a softball. He was like, so is there anything else you want to talk about? And I didn't know what to say. Like, I literally just whiffed. It was a complete whiff of a lob softball.
You're listening to the Sent Ones podcast, where we help disciples of Jesus discover their calling, develop their skills, and get deployed to their mission.
And action. I always hope that people don't look too closely at the clothing we're wearing because they'll piece together when we recorded these. But really excited to just have a short episode here with my friend Josh Howard. My name's Pheaney, as we're on the Sent Ones podcast. We really wrapped up season 1, hit a lot of clear things about discovering your calling, but really the path of a Sent One, you can find if you go to sentones.com, is just simple 3 things. We need to discover our calling. So many good interviews and insights. Encourage you to listen to those. Where we want to go next is we want to develop our skills. We need to continue to grow as we've discovered that calling. It's not a one and done thing. We need to develop in all sorts of areas what God has for us, who he wants us to be. And then eventually we need to deploy. We need to go where he's called us. And some of that, as you've probably heard, as we already touched on, you actually do those all at the same time. You don't just sit around and wait to discover and then develop and then deploy. They all happen, but we're going to kind of tackle them because it's important to see them in different avenues. But
no, Pheaney, this is a 10-year process, and you can't do anything until those 10 years are over.
Yeah.
Don't you dare go share the gospel until you go through these 10 years of preparation.
10 years, and you can sign up for Josh's plan for $99.99 to get that.
Yeah, right.
But yeah,
the plan is you pay me monthly for 10 years, and then you can go out.
We'll feel better. But tell me, man, why is that develop piece just so important? Like, why are we going to highlight that? I guess is maybe the best way to ask that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I feel like in the West, we are overeducated and under-obedient. And so knowledge it's not that we're lacking knowledge in the West, especially if you grew up in church, especially if you end up doing any sort of formal training like Bible college or anything like that, or if you go into some sort of deeper discipleship relationship. Like, knowledge is not like we can get knowledge any day, all day. I mean, dude, we're binging knowledge all the time on YouTube and all sorts of different places. And so knowledge is not the issue, but the actual doing of what we have learned is the issue. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like we see all the time people in America that have the right answers to things if you ask them, and they know the right things they should be doing, but we don't always do those things. Mm-hmm. And we're not always trained or equipped in how to live those things out. Many of us want to even. We have good intentions. We have the good desire, but we don't know even what it looks like. Like, how do I actually go make a disciple? How do I actually, what are the tools I need in order to, to actually share the gospel and to lead somebody to faith? And what do I do after that? And all of those things. And so if we're going to live this sent life, there are tools and strategies and steps of obedience and skill sets that we need in order to really be successful. Now, like you mentioned, you don't have to learn all that first before you do anything. The best way to learn those skills is to actually do them, practice them, give it a go, give it a shot. But I think at the end of the day, we've got to become less about knowledge acquisition, even though that's good and it can do some good things in our minds and hearts. But we need to shift from a knowledge acquisitions approach to a action-oriented approach where we are developing the skills needed to really fulfill the mission that God has put us on. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why this is so important, this develop piece, because we've really got to become doers, not just hearers. We've got to become action-oriented disciples, obedience-based disciples who hear the voice of King Jesus and immediately obey what he says as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really excited thinking about some of the recordings we've already done for season 2 that we'll start to release here and how they're going to relate to that. just a personal story that really relates to that. I mean, there was a good chunk of my adult Christian life where I knew I was supposed to share the gospel. Right. I don't think you'll get many people that will argue that, but, maybe some, but I knew that. And I even I had guilt about it. Like, I just felt like, oh, I wish I could do this better. But practically speaking, like, I didn't know what to do. And I tell people I could do a whole bunch of other great stuff in the Christian realm, fill the pulpit, run a good program. But I remember sitting across from somebody, and I like had an intention to share the gospel with them. I knew that he wasn't a believer. And he gave me a softball. He was like, so is there anything else you want to talk about? And I didn't know what to say. Like, I literally just whiffed. It was a complete whiff of a lob softball. Yeah, to say something about Jesus. He should have said that. Give me a little bit easier. But anyway, I needed to develop that skill, right? It wasn't a knowledge piece, as you said. That story came to mind. As it wasn't like I didn't know I was supposed to share the gospel. It was just I needed some skills. I needed some actual training to grow and develop. So feel free to interact with that story, but it really came to mind as the importance of developing our skills. Is we got to learn how to do things and put it into practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's the thing, man. I think a lot of people are in that same boat. Like, they want to do things. They have good intentions, especially if they're listening to a podcast like this on being a sent one. They already feel, a certain amount of that calling to live out what Jesus has called us to live out. But it's really important that we get really simple, and that's one of the keys of multiplicative movements all over the world, is that not only should we develop our skills, but also be using simple, reproducible tools that we can pass on to other people and help other people develop those skills too. So we're developing our own skills, but we're also developing others in the process too. We're going with people. We're helping people by passing on simple tools that they can use, that someone else can use, that someone else can use, so that we can really see the priesthood of all believers developed in their skill set, and then they can be launched out in order to see multiplication happen.
Yeah, that's so good. So feel free right now, you can jump onto sentones.com and just find some those simple tools that Josh is talking about, some simple materials that'll help you get started. You can also connect with a coach that can even start that. So you don't have to listen to the whole season 2 before you can get there. So if you're hearing this right now and you want to take some simple steps, just encourage you to go to sentones.com and get started. Anything else, Josh, on this topic?
No. After you busted the mic up, I don't think there's anything else. And so,
wow.
But there's also on sentones.com, guys. There's some merch that you can get. That's some really good, just simple tools that you can even wear. T-shirts. Look at that. And so you can kind of support the Sent One's mission doing that by helping us just continue to reach out to more and more people, training and equipping them to live this life of a Sent One. But guys, let's go on this journey and really develop the skills and the heart and the character needed in order to really see the Great Commission fulfilled in our lifetime. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Sent Ones podcast. For practical next steps or more content like this, check us out at sentones.com, or you can subscribe with your favorite podcast provider. Hope to see you guys next time.